It's streaming live on YouTube.
I just have to turn the sound off so we don't have reverb. Oh. Just a moment. Where is the sound? There we go. Muted. All right. Now. Oh, Alan Monarchy. Here we go. One more person. We are streaming live. Make sure he is fully connected. Alan Monarchy, can you hear me?
I'm here.
Okay. Okay. We are live and I'm going to hit the record button and Kate, you can start the meeting.
Okay, it's 7:05. We're going to open the meeting of today's Zoning Board of Appeals proceedings. That's Jim Hegstetter. You're here? That calls for yes, Jim?
Oh, I was on mute. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You're
Yes,
here? Great.
yes.
And Chris Carney's here?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, and I'm Kate Karakassis. I'm here, and absent is Christopher Close. This meeting is being conducted pursuant to Executive Order 202.1 and federal and state local advisories related to COVID-19. So there's no in-person gathering at Town Hall. We're only having a remote meeting by video conferencing. We do not, moving on to the minutes, we're just going to charge ahead. We do not have a quorum tonight of 3 members who were attending the March 10th, 2021 meeting. So approval of those meetings is being deferred to the June meeting. And we, as yet, do not have draft minutes of the April 14th, 2021 meeting. So approval of those minutes is also deferred to the June meeting. And before we start, sadly, we want to note that longtime ZBA chairman and member Nick Annis has passed away. His service was a tremendous contribution to the community and the town, and he will be greatly missed. This leaves us now with a vacancy on the board, and at this time, I have no information as to when the town board will fill that vacancy. The only agenda item for tonight is the public hearing for the Mighty Donuts application. But I just want to say that following that public hearing, we will have a brief meeting of the members to consider a policy regarding the length of meetings going forward. If anybody wants to stay tuned and present for that. Okay. Now, before we start, also, I want to note that the planning board has been declared the lead agency for the seeker review for the donut shop application and plan. But we do have a request from the planning board for any comments the ZBA might want to make regarding the project's environmental impact. And I spoke today to the ZBA's attorney, Victoria Polidoro. And given that the ZBA has not had an opportunity to review all the project documents, which are still being revised, and because the ZBA is considering only the limited questions of the height and the frontage variance applications and the community impact, if they were to be granted, as of now, the ZBA will accept the planning board's determination in its resolution establishing intent to be lead agency, but has no other opinion on that matter at this time. Okay, Jim, did you have an opportunity to read my email, and do you have any comments on that?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I lost video for a second. No, I don't have any comments.
Okay, and Chris, any comments?
No, I don't have any comments.
Okay, so now for the public hearing, the applicants are seeking 2 variances for a project at 7269 South Broadway. That's in the traditional neighborhood commercial center zoning district. First, they're asking for a variance from section 14349.1K6, which requires a minimum of 2 stories in the TND-CC district. And the applicants are proposing 2 one-story buildings on the parcel. And they're asking also for a second variance from sections 143.49.1K10A, which requires facades along 70% of the length of the parcel, and applicants are proposing 38 to 40% of facade frontage. The ZBA has not yet received a secret determination from the lead agency, that's the planning board, and therefore it will not be voting tonight on the variance applications. But we will have the public hearing, and to allow the greatest opportunity for public input, we will continue the public hearing on to the next meeting, when we hope that we'll be able to vote on the applications.
Kate, I'm
Yes.
sorry to interrupt. There's someone in the waiting room. They did not contact me beforehand. There is no name attached to this person. It says It's Magic. I don't know who this is.
It says It's Magic.
Yeah.
I
It's
would
Magic is
find
a
not
friend.
to admit that person.
And you can
He's a
chat-
friend of mine.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mr. Menarche?
It's Magic is Wayne. He's a friend of mine. Attended the last planning board meeting. He's not going to hack into the meeting, and I'm a little disappointed that my sister can't get an invite from Ann Rubin to attend the meeting now either.
I emailed her twice asking her to please call me so that I could do that. And I checked emails continually. She didn't.
Okay, based on Mr. Menarche's reference, let's admit It's Magic.
Now they've disappeared. I didn't remove them, but
Magical.
There would probably be no objection to Mr. Menarche sharing the link with his sister as well at this point.
That's correct. So if she wants to try to get in, we'll do everything possible to make that happen tonight. And as I said previously, the public hearing will be continued to the next meeting. So she'll have an opportunity then as well to speak. Okay, any other issues about attendance?
I don't have anyone else in the waiting room.
Okay. So if It's Magic.
Comes back.
reappears, we
Yeah, if
can-
anyone comes back, I will.
Okay, okay. So before we open the public hearing, I would ask the applicants, I guess, Zach, you're going to speak, or Ayaka, one of you is going to speak for the applicants tonight.
I'll be speaking.
Okay, to briefly explain what your project is, and in more detail, please explain why you cannot comply with the frontage and height standards that are required by the zoning board. We'll stipulate we all love donuts. That's not the issue. Okay. Then after you make your presentation, I would like the zoning board members to ask any questions or make any comments they have. And then with all that information, we'll open the public hearing so that they can speak to both your application, your presentation, and to questions and information that might have been generated by zoning board questions. Okay, so take it away, applicants.
Okay, and I'm enabling you to share screen now.
Thank you so much, Ann. All right. So first off, I just wanted to extend our condolences to the board's loss. That's very sad. So jumping in to our project, just a quick overview. We are proposing a new donut shop that consists of a historic diner with a kitchen in the back, and we have an existing building on site, single story, as Kate said, and we are proposing the removal of a single family residence. Essentially, the scope since last time we saw you folks. We have followed some suggestions from the planning board, which we think has resulted in a great submission. It's a little different than last time. We've moved the donut shop towards the south, about 20 feet away from this driveway. We have removed the fencing along the frontage. And both of those changes were to address the planning board's future indications, or giving us more options for meeting the frontage requirements in the future. So by moving the building over, we've allowed for more green space in this area. So if there were any future developments there, we haven't put the box in the middle, and so we've allowed for future even more compliance, right? We've added some street trees along the road, and a few small improvements to the Bottini building to increase our compliance with the intent of the TNT district. Even though this existing building is a tad far back from the line, it is encouraging community interaction, not only here in front of the building, but also here, this green space that we're proposing that is right across from the Holy Cow. And as we may have mentioned on a previous meeting, it's a great connection for the community, given this the scene already that's around the Holy Cow building. So that's essentially the things that have changed since last time. So let me know if you need anything else from us before public speaks, Kate.
Yeah, why can you not comply with the frontage and height requirements that are contained in the ZBA code? I'm not the ZBA, the zoning code for this district, the traditional neighborhood district.
Absolutely. So let me start with the frontage then. The whole project really centers around a historic diner that we are bringing to the site. So that existing diner has a set width, and so that's kind of one key point. The other key point is that how do I put this? As we discussed last time, as we make the building bigger, whether it be wider along the frontage or taller, which is touching on our second variance request, which is for the stories. As we make these structures bigger, we increase our parking requirements, we increase our septic requirements, and per some perk tests that we just did, our septic field is actually growing in size from what you had last seen, and actually what we were able to submit in this package. The perk test came in a little after our submission, but we've since had the septic system sized, and it is almost 50% larger than what we had previously shown. So it just goes to show that the site, because of its physical dimensions, given its long frontage but its limited depth, and the fact that we do not have access to municipal water and sewer, we are making an argument that not only does this act as kind of a stepping stone for the T&D district, given that not a lot of the T&D district area has been developed in compliance with the zoning code as of yet. So we feel like, given the site constraints that we have with parking and with sewer, it constrains the size of our building. Also, our primary goal is to put this little beautiful gym on the site that our clients are in contract to purchase. And thirdly, we have issues with the water and sewer. And certainly, if we had municipal water and sewer, we have a much easier time fitting what we need to on the site. So for those reasons, we are requesting the zoning board issue the two requested variances.
I'm sorry, Zach, there was I didn't hear, you started out with your first key point and I didn't hear it. What was your first key point?
The intent of our, it's the intent of the project to bring the diner to the community. And that diner has physical size and shape to it. And it will, in other words, rote compliance to the zoning code will take away from the architectural integrity of this a beautiful American piece of architecture that we have, being the diner car. So the whole project is really pivoting along this, this diner car, landing on the site and being architecturally pleasing. So this limits our height and it limits our width. But that's a project intent argument, which may or may not be stronger than the other argument that larger buildings just do not work on this site. So.
Okay, so if I understand you correctly, your first key point is that you have an aesthetic vision, and complying with the zoning code would compromise that vision and make it less pleasing visually. Is that
sure, and it's
roughly correct?
That's roughly correct. And I would just add that this isn't a subjectional, like the architects are being stubborn kind of deal. This is a historic diner car that has set physical dimensions, and it's the intent of our clients to introduce this beautiful little gym into Red Hook. And so that's kind of the heart of the project to begin with.
It's huge. It's like I've already.
Jim Hegstetter, do you have any questions or comments?
It's not historic.
No, wait, I'm just to manage my Zoom experience here. I'm having,
Okay, we'll wait for you.
not, I can't even get video.
Jim, do you want Ann to send you the call-in number in case you need to call in?
No, I have that. If I have to do that, I will, but this is intermittent. I can hear, but I just sometimes can't speak.
Okay, well, we were hearing you just now. If you have any comments or questions, I would really like to have your input here.
I understand that the limitations, because it's a historic diner, and what the limitations are around changing the design. But the frontage is the thing I'm kind of concerned about, because I thought there would be a possibility of extending that, and I'm not sure what other alternatives there are, but at this point in time, and the limitations on expanding the structure, but a little concerned with the limitations on limiting the frontage.
Okay. Zach, do you want to speak to that at all?
Yes, I can speak to that. I think, though we do have architectural limitations, as well as I want to again emphasize that we have site limitations, and making a bigger building just wouldn't work with the septic as well. Here, I'll switch to the last page that has the previous septic design before we actually did perk tests, and I can assure you this has gotten it's gotten larger than what we're showing here. And so this is just to support what we have on the site right now. So you can only imagine if we started increasing this building by the almost 70% it would need, or maybe 50, about 70% it would need, we just wouldn't be able to support that building on the site anyways. So we're kind of in a place where I think in my personal opinion, we're in the perfect place for a variance, because of the restrictions on the site that the zoning code, when it was overlaid historically, put on this site. So that would be my response to that.
Zach, I don't want to imagine anything here. So you've shown us, you just brought up the previous drawing that showed what the septic requirement was. Do you have a drawing showing what your new septic requirement is, and what the basis was for that? Have you changed anything with respect? I mean, the initial drawing that you showed, I'm unclear. You have your I'm sorry, your donut shop, but the use of the Bettini, I'm not sure what use you're supposing for that leads you to the requirements for the septic. You know, I just feel I don't have enough information. You're saying now we've got new perk tests and we, even more than before, we cannot meet the requirements because of the needs of our septic field. But you're not sure figures or facts or anything to back up that assertion.
Understood, Kate. So we were advised not to present any materials that were not submitted to the zoning board. I would be more than happy to, and it was logical to me, absolutely to present the newest and latest materials. So if that is okay with the zoning board, I will ask Ayaka if you could if you could just message me or email me over the newest septic plan, and I will present that to the board.
Okay.
And to answer
I have 3 more people in the waiting room. Luciana's iPad, it's magic, which I'll admit it's magic, and Michelle K. None of these people contacted me.
Does anyone know Michelle K?
Michelle is my sister. She's tried to contact you, and Wayne.
Let her in. The other person, what's the other person's name, Ann?
Luciana.
Wayne, it's magic is my friend Wayne, and Luciana's iPad is my mother who, you know.
Please let them in, Ann.
They're in.
Okay, so we can proceed. So Zach, what I want to say is I do appreciate that you are answering to many masters, you know, like at this point. I would encourage you to look at the ZBA. We are distinct. We have different remits. We're looking at different things. So I would encourage you to treat each as separate reviewing bodies. And I would just say I appreciate that this is difficult for the applicant.
We appreciate the understanding, Kate, and I just wanted to make it clear that it was the ZBA that asked us not to present materials that haven't been submitted. Am I right, Ayaka?
Yeah, the planning board has received the latest engineering drawings, but we received this right after we submitted to the ZBA. So the ZBA hasn't had a chance to review it yet.
Okay.
So
Okay, I understand the problem. Okay, so since we are going to be moving into June now, we'll have an opportunity to get those documents and any supporting thing. You know, the more detailed you can be about why. Basically, we want to know what were the suppositions that you made, on what are you basing these statements that now you cannot comply with septic, and that you need this amount of room, and to show us the drawings. So
yeah, and I can talk to that really. Okay, all right, and if I may, Kate, the real change in what has exacerbated this problem has been the recent percolation tests that we performed. So before, we were using design standards based off of assumptions. And to remind everybody, at last meeting, we were assured that the soils are very good in this site. And I just want to make it clear that they are not good, and the perk test did not go well.
Okay.
So that, you know, that really, and we've been working, you know, and our clients have been paying for all these iterations, working really hard to show the actual septic system that we would have to put in. And to answer the other question, we've been using our clients aren't wedded to having a retail space and a restaurant in the Bottini building, but we are caught in a bit of a chicken and egg situation, because the planning board is looking for us to plan for parking and for septic. And so we are using the most stringent planning use that is permitted in the commercial building, so that the eventuality of any tenant coming in could be planned for. But that therefore shoots us in the foot when we come back to the ZBA and start talking about, you know, our septic system. So we're not wedded to any retail or restaurant use. I mean, we're really just wanting anybody to come in and take care of this building for us. I mean, that's really the Bottini building I'm talking about.
Okay.
So I'll leave it there.
Okay, so I understand, and it sounds like you get the issue here. For the ZBA, we would be looking at the most conservative uses, office uses, the minimum, because if your argument is that no building can go onto this site and therefore a variance should be granted, don't go. I mean, the logic is you show us some very conservative uses. The least that would satisfy the zoning requirements. How far can you get towards satisfying the zoning requirements, still manage the parking and the septic? And the fact that there is no definite use plan for the Bettini, and that you apparently have no plans to alter Bettini or raise Bettini as you do the house. You know, there's many permutations, many possibilities. And none have been examined before the ZBA to show us that nothing is possible. If you see my point.
Yeah, and I wonder if I may make the argument that you know, since we first made the submission, we looked at the frontage requirements, and you know, it came clear to me that the existing site has no frontage that is in compliance with the T&D district. So, you know, one of my arguments is that the what we are proposing is 40 feet of compliant frontage versus 0, which I don't know. I thought was a fairly good argument, and again, it's a stepping stone towards where the T&D wants to be. So I'll again leave it there.
Chris Carney, do you have any questions or comments at this time?
Yeah, I actually had one question. I heard a while back that the proposed building, the rail car was going to be moved 20 feet to the left. Is that correct?
To the south?
Yes.
Yeah.
And what was the reason for that again?
So would you like me to speak to that, Kate?
Yes, Zach, please.
Okay. So the reason is twofold. The one of them being that the planning board and the Dutchess County planning department also asked us to move the building to the left to provide more green space towards the north for future development.
Okay, got it.
And Chris, because the Dutchess County Planning Department presented this as a condition to granting the variance, that means that the New York State General Municipal Law kicks in. And in order for us to grant the variance, for the ZBA to grant the variance, we would have to do so by a vote of 4. That is all the members of the board now. And if they move the 20 feet to the south, then they would only require 3 votes to get that variance.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So there's a real practical concern for them too.
Yep.
Okay, I have a question, Zach. So if for whatever reason, Mighty Donut should cease operating, what would happen to the diner? Would the applicants move it someplace else, or has any thought been given to that at all?
Well, we're trying to be optimistic.
Of course.
So no.
But let's face it, the statistics on restaurants is, it's like it's challenging. But just, God bless, we wish all the best, but just in case something happens, whatever. Would the diner be relocated, or?
Zach, I think that's a question for Rhiannon and I.
Sure.
Yeah, I could speak to. Our intention is obviously to give it our best shot. Like we said, it's a family business, and we've got some family relocating to it, so we're invested emotionally and financially. Sorry, can you guys hear me? Okay.
Yeah.
Our intention, we would definitely try to get like another sort of coffee shop or something in there before giving out. I don't think we have any intentions to move. I have no personal intention of moving the diner. we did move it south, you know, to make room so we could have like completely compliant development, you know, should sewer come in on the other side of it, which I think actually would make a nice transition. But yeah, our intention is not to move it.
Yeah, I mean, it has had a peripatetic history up to now.
Yes.
So I just want to,
Right.
but you're not going to do any structural changes or anything that would prevent it from being moved or operated in another site. Is that correct?
No.
Well,
Yes, that's
yeah,
correct.
Kate, I mean, these things are relocatable, but I mean, this is at significant expense.
I imagine so.
So, and, you know, we will be acquiring the property here. So, I mean, just in the hypothetical that it does not go well, you know, and there is a more productive use for the property, we can make the decision at that time. But there are no plans to move it.
Okay. And do you have any plans? Have you thought at all about developing the property to the north of the donut shop should over time?
To the north, you mean within the site, but the area of the property to the north?
Yes.
Yeah, so the significant restriction there again is site capacity for required, I suppose you could call it infrastructure, parking, wastewater facilities. I don't know if you've seen, if you guys have gone through the wastewater treatment septic field there, but it occupies a great deal of the site to the extent that we probably, without a municipal sewer system, could not develop additional square footage on that site. In the event that there is a sewer system or something else, that those constraints, the physical constraints of the site change, then we could look at further development of the property.
And we did, you know, initially we reached out to the Ross brothers who owned the lot north of us because we wanted to buy that piece, and they apparently have other plans for it. So we would definitely be willing to talk to them about, you know, how they're going to handle the septic system. Because if they're putting in something compliant, then maybe we can team up with them. But that's way down the road.
And I have one other question. I guess this is probably for Zach. I was looking at the drawings for the site, the proposed site plan, and from the drawing that's labeled A002.00 to the one that's labeled 002.04, you lost 2 parking spaces. Why is that?
Are you talking about from this time to last time?
I went from 002.00 to 002.04. You've got 29 parking spaces on 002.00. That was the first drawing, I believe, March 30th. And then when you get to the 4th on May 5th, now we lost 2 parking places. I'm just wondering.
I can actually answer that if you don't
Okay,
have to
sure.
answer off the top of your head there. So, Kate, I think in the iteration you're referring to that had the 2 other spaces, that was for parking the existing Botini building at full restaurant use.
Mhm.
We've since revised the potential future uses of that we're sort of building the infrastructure for on the site to splitting that space as a maximum development of either 2,000 square feet of restaurant and 1,000 square feet of retail. So that's basically the division of the space there, the blue area being.
Okay, but so you're saying that
so the parking
you changed the potential use, which would, I guess, require less parking, but is there any reason why 29 parking spaces?
So she's on too, but there's the male has the beard.
I'm sorry, somebody needs
That's
to.
me.
Who's not speaking, mute themselves?
This idiot.
The other reason for that, Kate, for the loss of the 2 parking spaces.
No, he's got a beard.
Oh, Steve. Mr. Cole, can you mute yourself, please?
You do that.
Bottom left corner is a little microphone icon. So the other reason for that, Kate, if you're looking at the parking lot, the top right-hand corner there is the refuse area. So
And it's bigger on 00200.
So, but canting it over like that so that it isn't blocked by the truck access would not be blocked by parking spaces required sort of expanding in that area. So I think that's where some of the parking spaces were used up.
But Dennis, honestly, I'm looking and there may be an issue because when we get these, they are not printed to the size, the scale is off, but I'm looking at 002, the fourth iteration versus the first, and the first has more, it appears to have more space for.
Yeah, I think another reason for this is I could correct me if I'm wrong, but the sort of the total length of the parking lot across the site had to be moved south slightly to accommodate the septic field.
Yeah, that's exactly
You know,
what I was gonna say. Yeah.
Unfortunately, the drawings don't have measurements that would, allow us to quickly verify that. So anyway, that question is outstanding. And I'll just say, I still don't feel I got an answer, but we've got another meeting and you got a month. So please,
Okay.
I'm looking forward to being educated.
And just so we understand, how it is are these parking requirements? Because obviously we're wanting to get through this process as quickly as possible, and we understand that seeker isn't in. So I was going to ask for if there's any way to do conditional approval tonight, but I'm assuming the answer is going to be no.
The answer is no.
Okay, so I just wanted to get past that, and then so that being said, we're really going to be shooting for some kind of vote for the next meeting, and if at all possible, because and I don't know, Dennis, if you want to get into this in your contractual, being in contract with the land, we're having a huge time crunch, which is obviously an us problem and not the board's problem, but we're really just trying to get the project launched. And so we are asking if there's any possible way that the ZBA might consider a special meeting after the secret determination by the planning board.
Do you expect to get that before the June meeting? The secret determination?
Sam Phelan is here. He could probably speak to that. Sam Phelan, are you there?
What I would say is that, once you get your secret determination, if there's a lot of time, you're welcome to write in and request a special meeting. But I don't think it makes sense to set one now because I don't know how long the planning board's going to take to make that decision.
Maybe and not to push too hard on this, but maybe if Sam can speak to it at all, perhaps we can get a level of comfort that we may have secret determination. And I'm not asking for project determination, just seeker. Seems like our impact is pretty, minimal. So I don't know, Sam, can you talk to that at all? So maybe we can get the ZBA feeling comfortable with setting a special meeting.
I don't actually see, is Sam on? Excuse me.
No, I said he may be having the same problem I've been having.
I don't
I don't
see
see
him
him
on
listed
anymore.
anymore. Yeah.
He's not here.
He's not.
Maybe the move here is we are on the agenda of the planning board on the 17th. If we can provide an update to Ann and the rest of the board after that as to whether or not we have the secret determination, then we can determine whether a meeting can be set prior.
Here's the problem. The public hearing has to be continued tonight to a date certain. Otherwise, we need to republish notice in the paper. So by the time the 17th comes around, and let's say we have to republish notice, we're almost back to the regular meeting date of June, is it June 10th or 12th?
9th. It's June 9th.
June 9th.
We
So-
have to send the hearing notices out. Is it 10 days before the meeting? That's like the latest. Victoria?
Right. So what I'm getting at is I don't think it buys that much time because it's only 2 weeks after.
Okay. So 6/9 being the next meeting date, and assuming the sake of conversation, that the seeker determination is made, and anything we sort of address the other questions raised, would there be a potential for a vote at that meeting?
So if the board feels comfortable, like it has enough information, they could consider voting that night. But again, that's all dependent on all of their questions being answered and public comments they receive.
Mhm.
But yes, it's legally possible for them to vote on the 9th. If the board completes seeker.
Okay, if we do not have any other questions or comments from board members and the applicants are satisfied with their presentation, can I get a motion to open the public hearing?
I make a motion to do that.
Second?
I'll second it.
Great. All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. We have, I know, 3 individuals who are here, and I understand some more. So just want to say to the members of the public, the zoning board is primarily concerned with granting variances for height and frontage. And to the extent that your comments could address those issues, that will be very, very helpful to us. Okay, Mr. Menarche, would you like to speak to the board and the applicants?
Yes, I would. Thank you very much.
I'm sorry, Mr. Menarche, before you begin, although there's not that many, we would ask you that you limit your initial comments to no more than 4 or 5 minutes, okay?
Yeah, that won't be a problem.
Thank you.
So I've been attending some planning board meetings and I found out a little bit about this project and I tried to get some people to support me tonight, but it's kind of hard to do when the meeting is open, but not quite as open as I like it perhaps. Not that I want a repeat of the planning board meeting, but that's neither here nor there. So I sent an email into Ann today. I assume the zoning board members got a chance to read it. And basically all I'm doing is looking at the zoning code and I'm looking at what specifics are written in there. And I just don't see how granting these variances is helpful at all. I live at this house, right? I live at the rental house at 7269 South Broadway. I've been here 9 years. I'm a full-time Dutchess County resident, all but 5 years in Red Hook. And, there are no other comparable places for me to go to right now. So I feel like I've got, someone's coming to knock my house down and I've really got no place to go. This is zoned for mixed use. The only use I see here is commercial use, right? Making money and donuts. And, there's no opportunity for residential quarters to be built, apartments, whatever. Based on the letter of the law, there is no, you're not extending any housing opportunities. Clearly it doesn't. And, as far as green space goes, they want to put Adirondack chairs in a fire pit to the north of where my house currently sits. I don't know about you, but when my kids were young, they played in the backyard here, not in the front yard, too close to Route 9. And there was also 5 businesses with a parking lot, 50 feet from my front door. So while it might be nice to have a recreational area, I don't see that as truly a recreational area. We've got a beautiful park less than 2 miles away where kids can run all they want and then some. That's one of the other issues I have. And as far as the road frontage, zoning laws get created in the future and, they're basically asking for grandfathered in. There's buildings that look very similar to the Botini building, but people complain about how it looks. And I really think that, both buildings have to be considered at the same time since they're on the same parcel. And if people are really upset about how the Botini building looks, I'll borrow a ladder, I'll buy paint, you tell me what color, and I'll go paint the front and side of the building that you can see from Route 9, if that's really the sticking point here. The zoning laws state the housing is supposed to create, opportunity and variety of age and income. And, I don't make, a boatload of money, but I'm not poor either. And I'm getting pushed out of my hometown because I can't afford to buy anything here right now. All for a donut business that may or may not be here in 2 years or 3. And there's no, there's no specifics for the building next door. So I don't understand, why these variances should be granted when I feel like, you know, they're going to put a patio in front of the building next door and paint the facade and, you know, make it pretty. I guess that's about all I have to say. I try to keep it to just the, you know, the variances for road frontage and, you know, the second story for residential use.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Menarche. And your, the letter that you wrote to the board will be incorporated into the minutes for the meeting.
Thank you. I appreciate your time and consideration.
Certainly. And Stephen Cole? Are you with us and would you like to speak?
Yes, I am. I had to unmute. I'm sorry.
And again, if
All
you
right.
could keep your first comments to 4 or 5 minutes, that would be great.
That's not an issue at all. I did submit a letter, Ann, that I believe you did receive with my concerns with this project and my opposition to it for a number of reasons.
Yes, I just, for the record, I forwarded that to all board members as soon as I received it.
Okay, well, I'm not going to reread the letter because I think it speaks for itself, but I would like to address a comment or a question to the applicant concerning this project itself. And specifically, did the applicant look at the zoning districts prior to initiation of the project? And if so, were other sites considered, or was the plan to move ahead knowing that a zoning variance would be required? Because if that's the case, it seems rather arrogant to come into our community and figure they can just plop down their little diner and everybody will just fall in step with what they want to do. And in addition, I noticed that your architect did not answer questions that pertain to the Bottini building in compliance. And what are the septic limitations for the Bottini building? If your perk test is looking at the diner, I'm sure there's going to be a requirement for septic out of Bottini. And since the plans are rather nefarious in that no explanation is given to what will happen with the Bottini building, I find it hard that the zoning board of appeals can approve this project, knowing that they have a big wild card hanging out there, whether it's going to be wide or tall or high, or how it's going to fit into the master plan. You know, a lot of people worked on this master plan for a long time. And when this is the first thing you see as you enter the town, the very first project in that master plan is looking for an immediate variance. So therefore, you're going to be setting a precedent that anybody else that wants to come into this master plan is going to seek a variance before they do anything. So that's pretty much my my comments, and I thank you for the time.
Mr. Cole, I have just one question first. And you live in the town, and where are you located in relation to this project?
Probably about a quarter of a mile behind it.
Okay, so you're in the neighborhood. And Mr. Cole's question, he addressed to the applicants, and I would, properly the question should be addressed to the board, but I'm going to pass that question right on to the applicants or Zach, whoever wishes to respond to that.
Kate, you want to do it, respond now in the middle of the public comment or wait to?
Yeah, let's do it while the question's fresh.
Okay. So I heard, I think, 2 questions. One, whether or not we looked at other sites. So just to be clear, I mean, we want to be in Red Hook. We want to invest in the community. Our children go to school here. We live here. So we want to go in Red Hook. We did look at other sites. There's not a lot of commercial properties available in Red Hook. This really being the only one that would suit our purposes. And so we did do our diligence on the zoning prior to entering into contract. That's part of the reason why we are still in contract and not in purchase the property, right? Is we want to explore whether or not this is feasible. The other question I think I heard, and I think Mr. Cole brought this up at the planning board meeting as well, is uses of the existing Bottini building. I think there has been some potential confusion of this in discussions, but we're pretty clear now about we are designing this building and the site itself to accommodate potential future use of that building at a maximum 2,000 square feet of restaurant and 1,000 square feet of retail. And so to Steve's question about the septic field that is going to go into the north, well, I'm sorry, the upper right corner of this image that you're seeing.
Northwest.
Northwest, thank you. is going to be accommodating septic flow for the new donut shop, as well as those 2,000 square feet of restaurant, 1,000 square feet of retail use. So it'll be a septic field for the whole site, as well as parking for those uses as well.
Okay. Mr. Cole, does that answer your question?
Yes, it does sort of answer my question. It just seems like if we're looking for a variance for this building, now that they have identified sort of what it's going to be, I don't think that fits in with the plan of the master plan. You know, I really am upset because we've had a lot of time put into developing what this town's going to look like. And when we have this community concept, and the very first thing you're going to see is just looking to change it, it just smacks in the face of what everything has been happening in this community for the past number of years. And it's nice that you have children in a school district. I think that's wonderful. But just because you have children here doesn't mean you have to put the project here. Okay. And it's a portable building. It can go anywhere. And I think everything that they're doing is planning on using the Botini building as a revenue source rather than the Dunkin' shop or the donut shop, pardon me. And one last thing is the Botini building. I know you were mentioned earlier about environmental compliance with the secret process. What about the contamination in the ground underneath this Botini garage? Who knows what's been going on there for the past number of years? Do we know that's a secure site and environmentally sound?
Okay. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Cole.
Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Certainly. Okay. And Mr. Harkins.
Okay, did I unmute?
Yep.
You did.
Okay. I'm just here to speak on behalf of what I feel is something that took over 200 meetings to get the TDN neighborhood, the TDN zone established. And when I was on the planning board, which I was for 14 years, we had two projects come in front of us, the Plimpton and Hills, I think, and the old Rugi building that were existing structures, and we made them comply as much as they could with existing structures. And now you have the first variances that are coming in front of the ZBA for this district. And I just feel you're going to set a precedent that is not going to be able to be handled down the road for the next one that comes through. You're going to have Article 78s if you're giving variances to the first one that comes through for a variance. And it's just going to continue and continue and continue. And that was not what like I said, the 200 plus meetings to come up with a TDN, that's not what they wanted. And now we're moving a new structure. I mean, I can see if the Botini building itself was going to be used for something else. It's existing. The house is existing. If that was going to be used as something else, I mean, I don't think it should be, but that's my personal opinion. But those are existing structures in that zone, such as Plimpton Hills and the Rugi building that is now, I guess, an electric warehouse. But they were existing. This is a new structure coming in, and we're already making, doing something for because somebody wants to do something, and I get very compassionate about it. So I apologize if I'm not, but I just feel that the precedent of giving two variances out for something in a brand new zone, basically, it's our newest zone in the town, is going to set, it's just going to hurt us down the road. It's just going to pitfall and roll into more variances and more variances. And if they're not given, then you're going to look at Article 78s. As far as the septic situation, there are other commercial zones in the town of Red Hook that could accommodate this. There are other commercial zones in other towns that could accommodate this. It's all comes down to how much would that commercial area cost you to buy? And I don't think the ZBA should look at anything as far as dollars and cents. What we came up with when this whole thing was written was the facade had to be 75%, had to be 2 stories. And I just feel that the ZBA should stay with that and not grant variances that are going to set precedences down the road. There are other commercial zones that it can be done in. And thank you very much for your time to let me bring out my feelings on it.
Thank you, Sam. Okay, now, Anne, we have other individuals that wish to speak?
I'm not sure. So we have these other people that I let into the meeting that I didn't talk to them, so I don't know if they have comments. I have, let's see, It's Magic, Michelle K, and Luciana's iPad, and I don't know if any of them want to make a comment.
Are you able to find out, or can we let them know they can speak at the continuation of the public hearing?
I assume they can
They
hear
can
us.
unmute themselves and speak if they want at this point.
Okay.
So
Michelle K, do you wish to speak? Unmute and say yes or no.
I'm sorry, I'm trying to deal with my children at the same time. I wasn't planning on it at this meeting, possibly in the future, but I am also in opposition to the plan. I agree with everything that Steve Cole and Sam Harkin said, including Alan Menarche, my brother. This is a person's home, and I will continue to remind people of that. This is somebody's home. And at this point, in addition to that, everything else that I've heard about the variances, it just does not make sense to push this forward. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. It's Magic. Do you wish to speak?
I'll just make a brief statement. I hadn't planned to either, but
Mr. Magic, would you please identify yourself by name?
Hi,
and
sure.
also, if you could tell us, are you a Red Hook resident? Do you live
yes, I'm Wayne Namaro, and I'm a Hyde Park resident. However, I'm in Red Hook quite frequently.
Okay.
Okay. I just wanted to say that the zoning laws, as Sam pointed out, I believe, are there, for a reason. There was a lot of thought and effort put into those. The only reason you would grant a variance to that is if it was going to provide a significant benefit to the community. And I'm talking significant. I can't, even in the farthest reaches of my mind, see how this is a significant benefit to the community. You have several other businesses within a mile of that providing very similar things, which, if anything, this will hurt those businesses. So I really can't see any reason that a variance would be issued for this. That's all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And who's the next one? I forgot the name.
I believe it's Mr. Monarchi's mother, Luciana's iPad. Hello, can you hear us? Did you wish to make a comment? You'll need to unmute.
I know she was having problems with her mute earlier. That could be the case now.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, well, since she'll have the opportunity to speak at the next meeting, I think we should.
Or submit written comments too.
Yes. Why don't we suspend the public hearing at this time? Victoria, we don't need to have a motion to continue, do we?
We do need a motion to continue it to a specific time. And before you do that, though, I do just want to comment on, I want to remind the board that there are certain standards that they need to apply when considering a variance. So we do have to go through the balancing test, and you have to weigh the benefit to the applicant versus the detriment to the community. So there was just a statement made about having to be a significant benefit to the community, and that it's just not the right standard. So I just want to remind the board that when the time comes, you do have to apply your statutory standards.
Thank you.
And
Okay,
Kate,
so
can I add?
is this Zach?
Yes, sorry.
Good.
I just wanted to,
Recognition.
if just real quickly, and I know that we have another public hearing to deal with this, but I just wanted to ask one question, and this is really for Sam and Stephen. You know, I totally understand the 200 meetings that were put into doing the T&D district. I just have a question. One of them is, when was the T&D district established? By my estimation, I would say 15 to 20 years ago. And do we have an answer to that? Either Sam or Stephen?
We can look it up, but
I thought it was 2011.
I thought so too. I mean, they worked on it for years
This is
before
Sam.
that.
I think I want to say it was 2011 or 2012. I'm not positive, but I'm sure that the date is there. Victoria, you could probably.
yeah, I'm looking it up.
Got it. So 8 years ago, let's say, to be conservative, in those 8 years, almost a decade, how many projects in the T&D districts have we seen? You guys just mentioned that we were the first variances in the T&D district in 8 years. I wonder if that's correct. And then if so, how many projects have successfully met the zoning standards in that 8 years?
Kate, can I?
I'm sorry, who's speaking?
Sam Harkins.
Mr. Harkins, would you respond, please?
I know one of the biggest ones was the development that's going in behind the Lyceum. And because I did sit on a board when that was being done, and they complied to every condition of the T&D neighborhood or T&D zone. Things they didn't want to comply with, but they did. And that's why that development is moving forward.
Mr. Harkins, are you speaking about the 102 residential unit?
Yes, I am.
Housing, I think it's called traditional neighborhoods or something that's behind the Lyceum. We want a complete record here.
Yes.
Okay.
The other two the only other two that ever came in front of the board while I was on the board, and I don't think anything came in since I have been off the board, were the use of existing buildings. And Plimpton Hills had to remove the whole parking lot out front. They had to park all their cars to the side and back of, so we made them do as much as we possibly could with still using the existing building. This, again, just want to reiterate, this is a new building that's going to be moved to this spot. So it's not like it's an existing building being used and we're trying to use that building without it being torn down. Okay. But this is something that's going to be moved onto the location, and I just don't see why any variances should be giving something that's moved onto that structure, onto that piece of property. I'm sorry. As the first variances that have ever been in front of the ZBA for that zone. And again, it was well over 200 meetings. It was not an easy thing to do. So,
I just wanted, if I may just add a clarification.
I'm sorry, please identify yourself.
Sorry, this is Zach again. I apologize.
Okay, go ahead, Zach.
Can everyone else mute themselves? I'm hearing dogs in the background. Thank you.
I apologize. That's my dog. She got spooked a little bit. She'll stop now. I apologize. The fun of having meetings from home. I just wanted to add that that residential, we totally understand that residential development was in compliance. However, that is a different district, actually. It is T&D, but it's the T&D residential district. This is the T&D commercial district, which has more stringent standards. I just wanted to add that.
Okay.
Can I say one more thing, Kate?
Sam
Harkins.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, it is in the T&D residential, but it's a huge project and they complied with everything. This is a relatively smaller project on one small piece of property, 1.32 acres or 324 acres. I'm looking at the map. And it can comply. I just don't buy that. So thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Okay, that's
So-
the last word for tonight.
Motion to continue the hearing to June 9th at 7.
Please, can we get that motion? Jim,
So moved.
and a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. The public hearing is closed. Thank you all who commented.
Not closed, just continue.
I'm sorry. Thank you, Anne. Thank you. Is to be continued.
The June 9th meeting, starting at 7 p.m.
And
I'm
Luciana,
sorry, Kate, what was the date of the next?
it's
I'm sorry.
June 9th.
June 9th at 7?
Yes,
Okay, thank you very much.
thank you. And we will hear Luciana at that meeting. And I would ask the board members to hang on so we can have a brief discussion about a policy for the length of the meetings.
Zach, could you stop sharing your screen, please?
Yeah, that's
Thank
great.
you.
You're welcome. Have a good night, guys.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, Kate and Victoria and everyone else. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night. Okay, Jim, Chris. Since we don't have Chris Close here tonight, and he has told Ann that he doubts that he will be able to attend the June meeting. I don't know how you feel about going ahead with this, but it seemed like we were all in accord that we would like to set a policy, which is just a policy, it's not a firm rule, that the meetings would end by a certain time. Some said 9:30, some said 10. We start at 7, so 2.5 or 3 hours. Do you want to discuss that tonight? There's 3 of us, so we can probably go ahead. It doesn't have to be by vote. Victoria told us we can just set the policy. Or would you prefer to wait till Chris Close is available?
I think we should wait till Chris is available and have his input. I'm actually for it, but I would like to hear what he has to say. I don't think we should do it without him being here. I mean, we're down to a board of 5, so there's a big
Board of 4.
board of 4. Excuse me. Well, I kind of
Chris told me he wants 9:30. He thinks 9:30 is
I
plenty.
consider
of time.
Victoria now a permanent board member.
Victoria's got a lot on her plate. She needs to be out by 10. But I think
still, right, it doesn't matter to me, but we still have 2 other people in the meeting that are not on board members. I just wanted to bring that up.
yeah, that's fine. I think we can wait. This is not a huge problem for us. It's really
No, it's not.
a witness with the planning board. But because of the way things can, have been changing and more interest, and we get some high profile cases, I just don't want to be in a position where it's 10 o'clock and we're tired, we're impatient, tempers are frayed, and we have to try to cut off a hearing and appear to be acting in some way that's prejudicial or unfair to an applicant. If we have a policy in place, I think that puts us on a better footing. And also, nobody's doing their best work at 10 p.m. after you've worked all day or been taking care of kids or whatever you do. So, but if we want to delay the discussion till we have at least 4 present.
Well, if
I'm
Chris,
good with that.
I mean, if Chris, if there's already pretty much a consensus, I mean, it's up to you. How do you feel?
I think I think the 5 of us should talk it out. So I'm in favor of waiting till Chris Close is available.
Okay, no problem.
We'll do that. And if he is going to be available, we'll do it in June. And if not, we'll do it in July.
I don't think there's anything that's going to bring us till 10:30 anyway.
I don't think so either.
Okay.
We'll pray not. Okay,
All
great.
right.
Thank you so much, guys.
See everyone.
And
Hey, Kate.
we did it. It's 8:13. Well,
Hey,
yeah.
Kate, hey, I was going to say, hey, Kate, you finished early.
I hope so. That's the goal.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
No.
No.
And thank you for dropping by with all the documentation. I got it when I got back from my last meeting today. So thank you.
Okay.
And now I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Great. Thank you so much, guys.
All right. Good night.
Right.
Good night, everyone.